Good evening, AAIP members, and welcome to our webinar. Tonight we're going to be talking about the doctor phone call, and we're going to go over different scenarios for that because we know there's a lot of you out there that still have not started the doctor phone call. So we're going to cover what some doctors think and feel, try to get you to understand, just to try to give it a try. So tonight, as we said, we're talking about the doctor phone call, and as I said, there are some doctors that still are not, feel like they're not ready for this step. So I know, Dr. Sheldon, at first you weren't real keen on this idea as well. So why do you think doctors don't want to do this?
Oh, it's too much, and I don't have time, and I want to go home, and besides, what am I going to say to them? And really doesn't make any difference, does it? And, it's just one more step.
I think they're probably afraid that they're going to have to get into a financial conversation, insurance conversation. Can you do a charity case situation type of thing for me as well?
Yeah, and that really doesn't happen. So we're going to go over some scenarios. And really, Danielle, we've got one that we've got professionally videotaped, and then Danielle and I are going to act out a few scenarios so you can see what goes on. I wouldn't live at all without the doctor phone call now.
Good.
It's so important. It's so important for me to get a handle on what's going on. It's so important in our office. We have 6 operatories, 3 doctors, 2 hygienists. Shared time here is at a premium. I don't want to waste any shared time on chit-chat that I would ordinarily do in the operatory and have 40 minutes to an hour for an examination. I don't want that. I don't have the time to do that. We can't do that, and the way we're able to take care of that time is to do the doctor phone call so that I can get all of the things that the patient wants to tell me, get them out in advance so that as soon as I walk into the operatory, we're ready to do the examination.
So, and that's a good point, because when we are talking about the doctor phone call, there's a few reasons why we do it. One is it is so impressive. I hear new patients come every day that say, wow, I still can't believe that he called me on my cell phone at my house in the evening, and they're very impressed because there's no other doctor, a dentist, a periodontal, no one else is going to do that.
Anybody, there's no doctor, there's nobody who does this.
So they're they're just very impressed by the whole thing. Secondly, it is a talk that does reduce chair time. If you don't do the social talk, the fun talk, the gathering of the information talk while you're on the phone, you're going to do it while they're sitting in a chair. And if they're the long-winded patient that likes to talk, or if they've had a lot of problems, or if they're a high maintenance, or it's a large case, you want to get a lot of that data over the phone where it's not taking up schedule time. Good notes of that so that you can walk into the room. Hello, John. It was nice talking to you on the phone. And as we were saying on the phone, you really want to do this, you really want to do that. You're kind of tired of all this, and let's find out what's going on and jump right into it.
So that's what we do. Now, in order for me to be able to be effective in the doctor phone call, I have to have really well taken notes by the phone scheduler. And so we're going to show you a little bit of that, but let me show you this first.
I also wanted to say as well that when we first, one of the ways that we brought this into the practice, and as we tell all of our members, is we stumbled upon the AIP through lessons. And it was something that we've always wanted to do because we saw referrals, sources kind of going down, and we knew that there were things that we have to do to start going direct to patients. And with all that, we were always trying to find a way to to do better, or to be different from anybody else. And this was one thing that we happened to stumble upon because I was actually going through a medical situation where I had this blood pressure that was just out of control. And I was actually talking to you about it because we couldn't find anybody in Brevard County that knew it was wrong. And I was underweight, I was active runner, I was a clean eater. It just didn't make sense that I had this really high blood pressure, concerning high blood pressure, and they sent me to all these specialists around Brevard County, and no one could find out what it was. So I did what your patients do. I did Google search, and I was trying to find my symptoms and what it was, and who was a good specialist that could take care of this and make this thing go away. And so with that, I found a doctor that's in Tampa, that's about 3 hours away from us. He's a specialist for what this was a parathyroid condition. And so he had this pretty large practice in Tampa, 3 hours away. And his website gave me the idea with success stories and his clinical papers and such on there that he could take care of this problem that I couldn't get taken care of. So his website sold me. I called his office, and his front desk person did okay, getting me on the schedule, getting me on the schedule, telling me what was going to be happening when I came in. But she also told me it was going to be $700 to come see Dr. Norman, and that would not be covered by insurance. It would be due the day I came in, and that was not part of the treatment that I would have to get done. So I got off the phone a bit floored at $700. I wasn't yet sold on the idea of not having $700 covered, and I was already thinking there's probably no way I'm going to keep that appointment because it's a long drive, $700. He probably, who knows, maybe he can't even fix this anyways. I may as well stick with my insurance and continue to search around town. So that evening, Dr. Norman called me at home and completely blew me away. He called me. He was very nice, even a bit funny. He assured me that he sees patients like me every single day. He assured me that he is going to look over my case and he's going to offer me some help, solutions, that he's a professional that specializes only in this. And he was confident. He was professional. He made me feel so good about coming in and getting this taken care of that when I got off the phone with him, there was no way I wasn't going to go spend $700 to see him. So I just thought it was an amazing way to get that patient to come in and see him because he sold me. Absolutely, he sold me. And I went in and I paid $700 and I had treatment with him, and it was successful, and it was a great experience. That's where we got this from.
So that's where we got it from. And Danielle introduced it to me, and I still said no.
He did.
Then I heard it from Charlie Martin, a dentist in Richmond, Virginia, and then I said yes. So maybe you have to hear it a lot, but now we've been doing the doctor phone call for what? At least 3 years.
Yeah, a long time.
And can't live without it. Just can't live without it. And those of you who are marketing and you start to see your appointment books start filling up, you'll see that you need to spend that additional time on the phone to help screen in order to be able to get fears out of the way, because the patients who are coming in off the street are coming in as a result of advertising, as you who advertise know, are a different type of patient from those that are coming in through the system, through the referred dentist. And so they need that extra assurance that they're going to the right place, because frankly they could call anybody. And the doctor phone call, just as it made a difference for Danielle, the doctor phone call will make a difference for you too, because these patients really are in need a lot of dentistry, as you know, a lot more dentistry than your referred patients, and they can choose any website, they can choose any phone number. They've got to have a reason to choose you, and they do,
Right.
and they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but it's important to get good data, and we're working on. Last time we talked about the new patient phone call. So here's the next step, and this is the data collection that occurs so I can make the doctor phone call. So these are the things that we want, and you can read it right there. The things that I want to see when I make this phone call. So I need the patient's name, and by the way, I need the pronunciation of this patient's name. And I also need to know whether this patient's name, particularly if it's a foreign-sounding name, I have to know whether it's a male or a female. So those things are important. We need the date of the first contact, the date of that I'm supposed to call them, the date of the new patient appointment, so that I can remind them that in fact they're going to be coming in on today, Wednesday, August 31st at 3:40 p.m. or whatever it is. I need to know the referral source. The referral source could be a doctor, it could be a patient, it could be the magazine, it could be the website, it could be any referral source. I need to know what phone number I should call, and so this is part of what's going to happen when the front desk person is talking with the patient. I want notes from the conversation so the patient knows that I know what occurred when he or she was talking with Jennifer, for example. I want to know that so that I can reference that. And patients want to know that too. They want to know that we're communicating. And then finally, the date and time of the examination, which is at the end of every report. So those are the things that I need in order to be able to make this phone call. Now, what happens when we make the phone call? And there's a certain sequence that occurs here. And you can see it right here. You can read it for yourself. But what I want to do is just show you a video first so that you can see exactly what happens in a simulated phone call.
Hello?
Hi, Joy. This is Dr. Lee Sheldon calling.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hi. Thanks for
Hi.
calling us. I appreciate you making an appointment with our office.
Oh, of course. Of course. Thank you for calling.
You're welcome. Now, I understand you lost a tooth on the lower left side, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
actually I have.
Okay. How long ago did you lose it?
It was about maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. All right. So, how does everything feel down there?
It's actually been kind of a nuisance, just having that space there and primarily chewing on the other side, and it's just kind of throwing things off. My jaw's starting to feel a little uncomfortable, so want to see what my options are to replace that tooth.
Okay, I understand. So here's what we're going to do. On the day that you come in, we're going to take a CT scan so we can see the bone, see what that's like. We'll take x-rays and make sure everything else is okay, and we'll spend about 2 hours here as we're going through the different options that you have. There'll be more than one option that you have.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Good. Any questions you have for me?
No, I'm a little nervous about coming in, but I received your magazine at Publix, and looks like you have a good reputation. I read some reviews online, so I feel pretty comfortable.
Well, that's good. And you'll find this is a place where we have a lot of fun. So even though it's a dental office, I expect you to have a good time here.
Okay, great.
All right.
I really appreciate you calling. That's very kind of you.
All right. Well, we look forward to meeting you.
Okay, well thank you.
Thanks, Joy.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So you see what happens. Pretty short and sweet. And by the way, they don't all go short. I've got to tell you that some of them are longer. But there are ways of handling that. There are communication skills you can use in order to be able to cut a phone conversation shorter without insulting the patient. And someday we'll talk about that,
Yes.
but we haven't talked about that in this series so far. So let's take a look now at the notes that I'll be receiving from Jennifer or any of the front desk people. So you'll notice what we're seeing here, just as I said, name, date the person called, date I'm supposed to call the patient, date the patient's coming in, how they're coming in, and we have two ways the patient's coming in, either $79 that's advertised or $50 to the charitable giving campaign for those patients who are referred. How they come in as a result of the magazine that we sent out in the mail. And by the way, the magazine is working wonders. I think
Yes.
the magazine that was by far and away last week our best referral source.
Yes, absolutely.
And then we have the patient zip code for marketing purposes. So let's go over the sequence that we use when we're doing this. Let me just put this in this way. Okay. So sequence for the doctor's phone call. These are the basic outline that you can use in order to be able to make sure that your phone call is effective or as effective as possible. And I don't do everything on every phone call. You start to get kind of a natural feel for this. I'm probably more natural when I'm making this phone call myself than what we're going to be doing with Danielle tonight. Okay, so the first thing is the greeting. Of course, you have to say hello. Okay, next thing is acknowledge the patient for making an appointment. I do say thank you for
Yes.
making an appointment with us. Thanks for calling us. And then we refer to the data from the new patient phone call and ask questions. And there is data there. As you'll see in the first one, we've got about 10 lines of data, which I can refer to as we discussed earlier. And then I want to make notes on the call myself, because those notes will then be placed in the patient's chart, and then I can refer to those notes before I walk into the operatory, and now I'm walking into the operatory in mid-conversation rather than starting the conversation all over again. Okay, let the patient know what's going to happen in the first visit. Then encourage the patient to ask questions. You know, it can't be a one-way flow where I'm talking all the time. Let the patient ask some questions too. And finally, reassure the patient that this is the right place for them to be there, and thank them for making the appointment, and look forward to meeting you on such and such a date and such a time. So let's go to a simulated phone call. So this is Susan, and Susan, this is actually a patient who was referred by the magazine mail. Patient has two teeth that were lost recently and wants to replace them with implants. She was in a car accident when she was 17. She's now 58, has a bridge across the front. Patient hasn't seen a general dentist since she moved to Florida about 6 years ago. Jennifer reviewed the cost of the implants, around $5,000 each, and that's the implant, abutment, and crown. Patient wasn't aware it cost that much. We shared information about 2 finance companies we used and explained how patients don't bat an eye for a car payment. And Jennifer's really good at this with analogies. You know, you look at, compared to something else, you know, don't bat an eye for a car payment for that amount of money. And the importance of dental care. Patient agreed. She joked that she was planning on looking for someone to do implants in the particular area in our area, which was kind of isolated and maybe didn't want to go to the mainland, but anyway. She was impressed by the magazine, and people are impressed by that magazine.
Yep.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So anything that you want to say before we simulate this phone call?
Nope. You can go on ahead and call away. I'm Susan.
Ring, ring, Susan.
Hello.
Hi, Susan. It's Dr. Lee Sheldon.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Well, I'm good, and let me tell you, I really appreciate you giving us a call.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had this magazine, to be honest with you, for some time. I've been looking over it, but I figured I mean, it's been a while since I've been to the dentist. I've been in Florida now for 6 years, and I think it's time for me to find a dentist and take care of some of my problems.
Well, I appreciate you calling us. Now, Jennifer tells me that you've had a bridge, you were in a car accident. I mean, you've spent some time in the dental chair in the past, haven't you?
Oh, yes, I sure have, and which is part of the reason why I've been waiting. I'm not exactly thrilled about this.
Well, I understand that, and part of what we do is to make sure that we're evaluating you and you have a full understanding as to what's going on before we start.
Yeah.
Most patients are spending about 2 hours here for the initial visit.
Yeah.
So during that time, we'll be taking x-rays, we'll be taking a CT scan, we'll get a good idea as to what's going on. You're going to have more than one option, by the way, and we'll go over the different options with you so you can make the best choice for yourself.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I want to get implants. I mean, that's what I've heard is the best thing to do as far as you know, longevity. Just I don't want to. I want to avoid being in the dental. No offense, but I want to avoid being in the dental chair as much as possible in the future. And I've heard that implants are probably the best way to do that. So that is why I'm coming to see you. And I mean, I'm glad that you called because, you know, I am kind of put at ease a little bit. You sound like a nice guy. I envisioned something scarier, so thank you.
You're welcome. You'll be fine here, and I think you'll enjoy the staff as well. Do you have any questions for me?
No, just looking forward to see, I guess, what my options are.
All right. Well, good. We'll see you on Tuesday at 12:40. Look forward to meeting you, Susan.
All right, thank you. Yeah, me too.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Any comments on that?
No, that's good.
Okay.
And like we said before, I mean, obviously that wasn't an extremely talkative patient. You can probably get the idea she's going to be kind of a normal attention-needing type of patient. If not, you would have definitely got the idea of that on that phone call.
I would have. Let's. We didn't even talk about this.
What's that?
Let's assume that the patient, and we don't even have this listed here, to happen to anybody who's listening to this,
Right.
that the patient has already indicated that they're expecting insurance to pay for it, and we've already told them that no, insurance isn't going to pay for it, and that I'm making the phone call and it comes up again.
Okay.
Okay, you with me?
Sure.
All right, so Jennifer's already said something like, you tell me what Jennifer was
Yeah,
saying.
well, Jennifer would just normally say when insurance comes up, that's the per time. We just say, listen, we are not an insurance office. We don't, we're not a provider, an insurance providing office, but we do submit your insurance for reimbursement. Whatever they cover is going to be gravy and extra. We never promise any reimbursement because insurance companies are just there to make money. So we'll definitely go on ahead and send all that information, and we'll try to help you get that reimbursement. But we do not recommend that you make your decision on a treatment like this with your insurance company because you're not going to get the best treatment possible. So we definitely cover that and make that clear. Absolutely, with every single patient.
Okay, so now I've made the phone call and I'm
Right.
talking to you, Susan. Okay,
Right.
and now we're in the middle of the conversation,
Correct.
and you tell me something about insurance. What do
Right.
you say? Well, does insurance cover this?
Right. I want to get an implant because I have one tooth missing. I want to get this implant because implants are the best way to do this. My friends told me this, but I also pay a lot of money for my insurance. Every month I pay $55 a month for dental insurance. So I really, it means a lot to me to use this insurance towards this care.
I totally understand that. Did you talk with Jennifer about the insurance, or would you like me to have Jennifer give you a call back so you can discuss that a little bit?
Well, no, I did ask her about the insurance, and she did tell me that you were not an office that accepts my insurance, but she would help me get reimbursement for any treatment that I have done.
Okay, and that's exactly right. Are
Okay.
there any more questions you have on that?
Well, not really. Like I said, I was just hoping that, since I do pay for it, I could get reimbursement, but she did say you're not taking my insurance.
Good. I totally understand.
Yeah.
Thanks. One Tuesday at 12:40. So I want you to get this principle down, and I want you to understand that if something was covered by somebody else, and that you have somebody who's comfortable talking about insurance, and I'm not, and I don't want to have anything to do with insurance personally, that you can bring it right back to the patient because it was already written in these notes. In this particular case, it isn't here, but it would have
Right.
been if insurance had been brought up, that Jennifer had already talked about insurance, and now I can refer the patient right back to Jennifer. You know how people play one person against the other person? You ever seen that happen in your office? Okay, that's exactly what was going on here in this simulation. So we want to make sure, Jennifer can cover that? Oh, well, how about if I have you call Jennifer? And now the person knows that we communicate, and the person knows, I'm going to have to talk with Jennifer again. Well, Jennifer already told me that.
And you can use that
you don't
for
have to do that.
anything. You can use that for fees, for payments, for finance companies, for insurance.
For Medicaid.
For
Let's
anything.
assume that Medicaid is brought up to me.
Yes.
And Medicaid was discussed, and the patient said, I've got enough money. And now you say to me, well, does Medicaid cover this?
Right.
And what am I going to do?
Well, you're going to say no. This is not something that Medicaid is going to cover. Did you ask Jennifer about that? And she would say yes, and say, well, if you have any other questions on that, I can definitely have Jennifer give you a call back. You refer all that to Jennifer to say she definitely can explain it. This is what Jennifer does all day long. So she can explain it to you. She can make it much clearer than you can. I mean, really, she can.
She can.
So even if you do try to help them, which is what you say, even if I try to sit here and help you, I'm probably not going to give you the right information. So let me have Jennifer give you a call back. And then Jennifer can either dismiss the patient, refer the patient elsewhere, or answer the question.
And that has to do with how much does it cost. Any question other than, listen, this is a doctor phone call. This is a doctor-patient relationship.
Right.
I don't handle finances in the office. I don't tell, some of you may. I don't tell patients what the fees are. I'm there to do the examination. This is what needs to be done. Danielle, I need 3 units here. I need 4 units there. I need extraction here. It's going to be this materials. I'm going to use BioGuide here. I'm going to use Mineros there. And then I leave, and Danielle is there for the next hour explaining in English what I said in dental.
Right.
So all of those things, this is a nice thing. And anything that isn't nice, you have somebody in the office, or at least you should have somebody in the office,
right,
who you can refer the patient back to discuss that discuss that with the
Absolutely.
patient.
Absolutely. This is for data collection. This is to help you understand more of what they want and what they need so that you're more prepared when they come in, and that's all they need to know.
Good. Let's talk about Eric. So Eric was referred by magazine again. I think every example today is going to be magazine.
It probably is.
We do have patients who are referred by doctors still, and people come in for other reasons, other factors other than the magazine. Patient says he's going to need has a lot going on in his mouth, and is definitely put off going to get the work that he needs. He stated that just last night a tooth he was trying to hang on to just fell out. He says his mouth is a mess. He's missing all his back molars. He used to have both upper and lower partials. However, the patient said they were really uncomfortable, and the office he got them done at could never get them right. He went in like 17 times to have them adjusted. This is all what Samantha's writing all of this, and she's writing that as she's talking with the patient. After that, he said he'd had enough. He stopped wearing them about 2 years ago. Patient says he probably has a lot of bone loss, doesn't know if he's a candidate for implants, but he wants to start trying to fix his mouth. I told him the first step was to make an appointment, explain the $79 consultation, and our insurance policy, well as our finance companies, and for me to call on August 29th. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Well, hi, Eric. I'm Dr. Lee Sheldon.
Oh, hi, Dr. Sheldon.
Well, thanks for calling us, Eric.
Yeah, I'm looking for some answers to my my dental mess, I guess you could say.
Well, you're right. As a matter of fact, Samantha actually wrote down that you said your mouth is a mess, and she told me about the fact that you had upper and lower partials, and those partials have been in place. Actually, they're not in place anymore. You haven't worn them in 2 years.
Oh, I threw those things away.
Did you really?
Yes.
Yeah, it was 17 times to get them adjusted. I mean, I know that. So
Yes.
I understand that things just aren't going right. Tell me a little bit about what you think you want. Where do you think you're going?
Well, I don't want to have those stupid partials anymore because those were a joke, and I don't know if it was the partials or it was dentists that don't know what they're doing because you know how much money I spent on those partials and constant adjustments, and they kept saying it's not the partial, it's me, and I think that's a bunch of baloney because, I mean, I was fine before they put those partials in my mouth. It's just so irritating, and I would just like to get something that works. I'd like to eat some meat again someday.
So I understand you want to eat meat. What are you eating right now?
Well, a lot of stuff I'm eating is just soft pasta foods, or I mean, I can't eat a hamburger. I can't eat anything with some, grit to it. I mean, a steak. I haven't had a steak in I don't know how long.
It's funny, and you start thinking about your mouth a lot. And I bet you're thinking about your mouth a lot right now.
More than once a day.
Yeah, and particularly when you have to start looking at different parts of the menu to see what you can order, what you can't order.
Yeah.
It becomes a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
It's tough, and I'll tell you, we see a lot of patients, and most of the patients we see, Eric, are patients who have really severe problems. Yes, we treat the simple problems too, but more often than not, we're seeing patients like you who have severe problems. You saw the magazine, you saw the patients that were smiling in the magazine. Nearly every patient you saw smiling was in your situation before they got here.
Huh.
So it can be done. You can have something predictable. I'll need a lot of data, and you're going to be spending a couple of hours here when you're here. We'll take X-rays, we'll take a CT scan, I'll do an examination, and you'll have more than one option. I'll just give the options to you, and understand that there are different fees for different options and different benefits for those fees. But we'll go over those in detail with you so you can have the best idea or you can have an idea as to what's best for you.
All right, I need to do something here. I can't keep going like this.
All right, good, Eric. Well, we're going to get together on August 31st at 1:40 p.m. And do you have any questions of me?
No, but yeah, I appreciate you calling. Thank you.
Well, good, Eric. We'll see you in a couple of days. Look forward to meeting you.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Bye-bye. So notice, and I should have done this in the first one, is that I'm going to look at and I'm going to write certain things down that maybe are key elements, like I can't eat a hamburger. I want to eat meat someday. Because if we're talking about dental work, there's got to be a purpose in doing the dental work. And for Eric, his purpose is he wants to be able to eat meat someday. Don't you think I'm not going to bring that up at the examination? Because he brought it up to me. So now that I've written those notes, these notes are going to accompany me to the examination so I can reference these notes. And I'll say, hey, Eric, were you able to eat a hamburger today? Or, what were you able to eat today? Because I remember you couldn't even eat a hamburger. I don't want to insult him. But what were you able to eat today? I remember you told me you couldn't even eat a hamburger. And he might say, yeah, I was able to get down, a little bit of soup, and that was about it. I said, well, I understand. And our whole purpose is to get you to the point where you can eat a hamburger and eat a steak and feel comfortable doing it. Okay, this is all emotional selling. And the emotional selling comes from the patient. You track those emotions, and you track what the patient has said to you, and repeat that back to the patient so the patient feels listened to, so the patient feels understood, so the patient knows that you're tuned into what he or she is saying. So important. It makes Danielle's financial arrangements part of it that much easier. So when we're doing treatment planning sessions, Danielle and I are getting better at these treatment planning sessions together here on the webinar. But when we're doing our treatment planning sessions, the whole idea is, what's the benefit? And the only way we know what the benefit is to elicit from the patient what's bothering the patient to begin with and note it down and to be able to relate to the patient in the patient's own terms. Okay, want to do another one?
Let's do another one.
All right, good. Which one want to do?
We can either do Robert or we can do Deborah.
Let's do Deborah.
Okay.
Um,
Deborah's actually a good one because we actually ended up seeing her today, as a matter of fact, for her new patient examination, and she accepted today, and she had a treatment done today. So it was a good one because this one in particular, we were able to identify, which allowed you to identify extra time needed, just different things because she was out of area. She was looking for zirconia implants, which is a big flag of extra time and high maintenance type of thing. So there were things that allowed us to leave some extra time for her.
There was, and so we had the opportunity then of seeing Deborah. And of course, I gave Deborah a call last night, or it was 2 nights ago. Yeah, it was Monday night. Was able. Okay, so now Deborah's one of our out of town patients. One of those patients who wants zirconia implants. And the patients who want zirconia implants are the patients who are very health conscious. They often have immune deficiencies. They're seeing a number of doctors, usually natural doctors, and they want to get metal out of their mouths. It's that kind of patient. These patients sometimes are time-consuming, more difficult to treat because they've got so much going on. And Deborah, by the way, was not that way. She's
surprisingly,
yeah.
Usually these patients are flags to us of they're just really high maintenance. It's going to take a lot of time to get through all their lifetime stories and their fears, and I mean they're a lot, but I will say this one in particular wasn't, but we still prepared for that, which was good because we ended up needing to leave time for her treatment today.
Good. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, Deborah. It's Dr. Lee Sheldon calling.
Oh, hi, Dr. Sheldon.
Well, I want to thank you for calling us.
Well, thank you. I want to thank you for the great magazine that you made that actually is looking like it has some answers to my questions.
Well, I understand that you've got an infection that's been going on, and it's been going on in your mouth for quite some time.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit. Give me a little bit more details. What's going on?
Well, I would say that I'm a very health conscious and very healthy person. Of course, I have some medical issues that I battle, and I think, well, probably everybody has medical conditions that they battle, but I'm trying very hard to be careful with what I put into my body and do with my body, and which was what attracted me to your magazine. I'm looking for somebody that can respect my beliefs and my needs and my wants and help me get the care that I need based on that.
Okay, and I understand, and certainly we do and we will, and as a zirconia implant, I know that attracted you because you're coming from well over 100 miles away.
I'm coming a long way, which is a concern because it's a 6-hour trip altogether if you really calculate it.
Yeah, it is, and I understand that zirconia implants are relatively new. They've only been out for about 4 years in the United States, and we've been doing them for well over 3 years now. But they're still relatively new. I just want you to understand that. At the same time, when we do zirconia implants, the tissues have been very, very kind around zirconia implants, so we're very impressed with the results, and we find it our patients are very happy with them.
Well, I do have an autoimmune disorder. Am I going to be a candidate for this implant?
Well, I think the first thing is, because I understand that you have an infection, we'll see how you heal up from the infection. So it'll give me a much better idea. Because you told me the tooth needs to be extracted, and you've already been told that tooth is
Yes.
cracked right down the middle.
Yes.
So I'll have an opportunity, because we're going to be taking out the tooth. We'll likely do a bone graft, or even if we don't do a bone graft, I'll be able to see how you heal, because it's going to be a 4-month period of time for healing before you'll be ready to have a dental implant done. If I see that you're healing well as a result of the extraction, then yeah, you'll be a great candidate. I may want to talk with your physician as well to get some more details. Of course, I'll be happy to call him or her in order to be able to make sure the treatment is coordinated as well as possible.
On this, this is a long trip for me, and and especially now, since we have spoken, I'm a little excited to come and talk with you. But is there any way that we can try to consolidate my visits and get things taken care of?
Yeah, you are coming from 100 miles away,
Yes.
and it's already been confirmed that you have an infection, so
Okay.
I'm going to make special arrangements to see you for the examination, and then we'll see you on that day for the extraction.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so I'll probably have Jennifer give you a call. I'll have Jennifer give you a call, so you have an idea as to what that will involve, so that you can be better prepared when you're here for that visit.
Okay, I like that.
Sound good? Any
Yes.
questions you have of me?
No, I think I asked them all.
All right, good. Well, Deborah, look forward to meeting you tomorrow, and let's take care of that infection, and look forward to helping you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. So that's an example of 3 phone calls. You're going to get your own pattern. We've given you some examples, and we've also given you a pattern that you might use yourself. So if you have these 7 steps just written down in front of you, you'll start to develop your own 7 steps. You don't have to use ours. You'll start to develop your own 7 steps that will make it comfortable for you, so you can get the phone calls done, get them done effectively. When do I make these phone calls? I make these phone calls between patients, and I make these phone calls after work. We get on the order of 17, 18, 19, 20 new patients a week. So there are a lot of phone calls to make, and I'm only working 3 days a week. So there are a lot of phone calls to make. We can get them done efficiently. We can get them done well. And there are not a number of times, but a few times when a patient might slip through our front desk people, and I get information that might lead me to believe that the patient is better off being treated in another office rather than being treated here. So if I get the sense the patient really can't afford our services, I won't tell the patient. Well, sometimes I will say you might be better off seeing the denture specialist is right down the street from us. Sometimes
There are some times, but
Yeah.
most of the time you just comfortably refer the patient back to talking to Jennifer.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the other notes that I'll make is, if the patient is talkative and I feel it's going to take a longer period of time, I don't want to run late. Danielle certainly doesn't want me to run late. So that we'll note that I'll need little bit of extra time for that patient, so that we've
Yeah,
scheduled it
absolutely.
properly.
Part of the reason why we do this doctor phone call is to help us stay on schedule. Staying on schedule will make happier patients, this patient and the patients that are waiting alongside with this patient. So when you make notes like, give me some extra time, this patient's going to take some extra time, I need an FMX, I need a CAT scan, I need, extra pictures, whatever it is, we can schedule for that so that we don't fall behind. It keeps us on schedule. If you haven't done this yet, if you don't think that this will work for your practice, at least do yourself a favor and do it for a few weeks. See what your patients say about these doctor phone calls. See if it makes a difference in the acceptance of these patients who have received this phone call, and then try to see if you can reduce your current new patient time from whatever you're doing now to 10 minutes less, and see how many new patients you can add into your day by doing this. You can at least get one more patient in per day. That's 3 to 5 new patients per week, depending on how many days you work a week, and that's a lot of extra income.
That is. And notice what I'm writing right here, which I forgot to do, but now I'm telling you. Full month series CT. We'll need that, and I may need additional time, so I'll write that right under that patient's name, and that way Jennifer gets this back and knows that schedules need to schedule time for the CT scan, the FMX. That's all done before we walk into the operatory, and then we need additional time.
Right.
So that all of the information that I'm getting is noted on this. This gets put in the patient's chart and to the appropriate schedule so they can schedule the right amount of time.
And that expedites me getting you into the room on time, because I'm reading Jennifer's notes, I'm reading your notes, I'm doing what you're asking me to do right there, and I'm not asking the patient for a third time, why are you here, what do you want, what's going on. They've already told you guys, I'm just confirming it, and so I'm able to expedite without being rude or cutting them off short by letting them know we have all spoken. We all are on the same page. We all know what you want and need, and we are going to find out what your options are.
Good. That's it. Got anything else?
That's it.
All right, great. Use the doctor phone call. We'll see you in San Diego. Good night.
Good night.